besides being lied to, what are some of the main reasons, if you can think of some, the drivers, change companies in your experience?
So some drivers think you're there to be their friend, and that the carrier works for the driver. And I think you're always going to get guys like that. I don't know how you would avoid that, but I think most truck drivers understand that the carriers need to make money too. They'll accommodate you as best they can, but it's got to be a win-win for everybody. So I think as long as the carrier is just being honest and says, we thought you were going to get home for the weekend, your load fell through, we haven't been able to find anything else, we're sorry, and just be open with them, because stuff is going to happen. It's just the way of the industry.
It's tricky, actually. You're right. And that's a very interesting way to look at it, because we internally, when we're looking at like customer service as a company, we have two types of customer service. We have customer service for our contracted customers, and we have customer service for our drivers, because we try to treat our drivers as much as we can as customers. And one of the reasons that we do that is because it's really difficult to convey to a fleet of 450 drivers that we really are on the same team. Like without one, there wouldn't be another. It's because at the office, we see it that way. We see it as this is just a department, like there's an accounting department, there is a driver department, and each one is necessary to provide service to the customers, because that's what we're all here for, just for that, to provide service to the customer. So I keep trying to kind of figure out like what's a good way to really, because when you tell a driver we're on the same team, they think you're just saying that, but we really believe that. So that's just kind of something we struggle with, internally. How do we really convey that as a truth to our drivers?
That's interesting. I would think that over a period of time, the drivers would get to know that that's the case. But, maybe in the first couple of months, they're just so trigger sensitive that it becomes an issue. But something else, let me ask you, because you'll know the answer to this.
Mm-hmm.
All sorts of drivers have customers that treat them poorly.
Yeah.
Do you ever have an issue that way? Because we when we had our own little trucking deal, we were fortunate enough that we knew our customers personally, and they wouldn't talk down to our drivers, and they were nice people to deal with. But even a carrier of your size has got to be getting into some pretty big shippers and manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think that if you could train your customers to treat your drivers well, it would really help. I don't know if you can do that or not.
Yeah. Well, we have the benefit of being somewhat selective when it comes to customers. So it's kind of a full circle. We are able to pay our drivers more because as a result, we are able to hire better drivers. And that means we can provide a better service for customers. So we can be a little bit more competitive on the cost. So
that's a nice situation to be in.
Yeah. So we can be a little bit more competitive in terms of not the cheapest trucking company out there, for, cost-wise to the customer, but our on-time rate and professionalism and everything is through the roof, right? So as a result, we can also be a little bit more selective in how we communicate with the customer, and we have some more flexibility that we can be more open and honest about the facility, for example, where our drivers go to pick up or receive, the receiver or shipper. And this came out a lot during the COVID pandemic, because for a while, nobody knew what to do. Like nobody knew protocols for like sanitizing, right, or for distancing or whatever. So we had to call customers ourselves one by one to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And if they weren't, we would say, okay, give us a call when you're ready. And when you're up, to standard, and then we'll start sending drivers there again. So that does happen. But in other cases, let's say there's a large customer and their facility in the wintertime is a mess. Like it's got slush all over the place and drivers hate it. And that's unfortunate. But at the same time, if they're a huge customer and they are one of the main customers that like allowed us to run seamlessly through COVID without laying anyone off, we can't just turn our back on that customer, because at the end of the day, me, our drivers, our CEO, everybody, we're here for the customer ultimately. Sure. So it's kind of a dance and balance you have to do, because you don't want to lose a customer. You don't want to lose drivers either. and
Sure.
both are really difficult to.
And there's only
Yeah.
so far you can try to coax a customer, I'm sure, before he gets annoyed. You don't want to ever hit that point. So
Yeah, because we're there at the end of the day. I mean, customer service, we provide a service. It's not,
yeah,
like you said, drivers sometimes feel as if the company is there to provide a service for the driver. And in some level it is, but at the end, it's human resources, really. It's a human resources department that's doing their best to keep people happy. It's not the same as trying to maintain a customer. It's a
yeah.
different ballpark.
Some drivers struggle with that concept, though.
Yeah. Why do you
Yeah.
think that is actually? What do you think causes that disconnect? That's sort of a philosophical question, but
I, I'm going to be black and white here, but
please.
I think that just illustrates a lack of intelligence on the driver's part. I think you're going to get some guys like that you just can't keep them happy no matter what, because it's me,
Yeah.
and you're not losing anything by losing those guys anyway. So
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because 10 years ago, I would have agreed and I would have said, that's not the kind of driver we want to have anyway, not a huge loss. But what happens today is a driver that you're describing might get pissed off and they leave the company, but then they'll go on YouTube and start, creating videos about the company that are based in a fairy tale or based in lack of understanding, but it's presented as facts. And then somebody else might watch that video and then that's a disfavor to that person because they might not join a good carrier as a result. So
I
that's, yeah.
I can see what you're saying. I suppose that can happen. I think all you can do in that situation is just to keep putting your best foot forward and
Yeah.
convince the audience that you are a good carrier. And I think most of them out there are becoming aware of that very quickly.